There are a few things we need to know. We need to know, you can see here, we need to know what the center of the rotation is. That's quite important. Annie, you ready? Thank you. The center of rotation, in this case, it's this point here of minus 1, 0. We also need to know the direction of the rotation. So it can be clockwise or anti or counterclockwise. So clockwise would be the way the clock goes, or anti-clockwise is the opposite direction to that. So there's two ways we can rotate something. So spin this way or this way. And then we need to know the degree of rotation. So there's only going to be 3 degrees we're going to look at: 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or 270 degrees. Casper, sit down. So there's the 3 different ones. So that's, if you think about that, if we can go around a full circle, that's obviously 360 degrees. 90 degrees is if you spin it this much. 180 degrees if you spin it upside down. 270 degrees then is a 3/4 turn. And that will help us with rotations. So the first thing I need to do is I need to draw the triangle, which you have already done, which is at the point 1, 1. So that's 1 on the x-axis. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. 1 on the x-axis here, and it must meet 1 on the y-axis. That's there. 3 on the x-axis must meet 1. So I've drawn this one and this one. And then 3, 4, 3 on the x-axis, 4 on the y-axis here. So I should have this as my triangle. Now, better, of course, you have a ruler for this unit. You'll definitely need it for enlargements, less so for rotations. But now I'll put in the center. So the center is at minus 1, 0. So minus 1 on the x-axis, 0 on the y. So that's right on the x-axis. So there's my center. And I've got this much done. Now, how do I rotate this shape? It's going to be quite difficult for me to rotate this shape without a prop. And we use something in this unit. We use tracing paper, see-through paper, or baking paper. So we use this to help us, and it makes it a lot easier. There are ways you can do it without it, and protractors and stuff, but this is much easier. Shia, sit up. Thank you. All right, so what we do is we take our tracing paper and we draw the triangle on it. So we trace the triangle. Whoops, that's not great. Trace the triangle. Make sure our 3 corners are as close to accurate as we can. That's drawn on our tracing paper. And I also put in the center. So that's that center there. So it should, when you do your tracing paper, it should look like that. I'm going to put it back. You're going to do this in a second. And now I need to go clockwise for 90 degrees. Clockwise, that's this way, yeah? That's the way the clock goes. So I'm going to go this way for 90 degrees. Maybe you could tell me when you think 90 degrees hits. Now? There? Yeah, I think you're right. That would be 90 degrees. If it said 180, I would keep going to here. That would be 180. 270 here. So every time the page reaches a perpendicular horizontal, and 360 back to where I started. So full circle. So I'll do 90 degrees again. So I start here. Everything's lined up on my tracing paper. And I go 90 degrees, which should just fall down perfectly around here. Now mine's a little bit off, but that's where I'll put my dots anyway. Lift up my tracing paper. I'm going to put in the first dot here. This is the bit that most people get confused with. Lift up the tracing paper for the second dot, and lift up for the third dot, somewhere around here. Once I have the 3 dots done, I can redraw my triangle using a ruler, hopefully, but I'll do it freehand.
Does it have to be accurate?
And yeah, it'll have to be relatively accurate, yeah. I'll have an idea. I'll give it a little bit of leeway because pages can slip and stuff like that, but I'll have a general idea where it should be. Okay.